Thanks for tuning in to another video, and it seems from the comments that many of you are watching my videos just to see my beautiful hands work, and I do appreciate that. But I do hope some of you are here for my tips and tricks video for the Samsung Galaxy Watch 8. And as usual, they're in no particular order, except I do have some safety tips that might be important at the end, so try to stay for that if you can. And I'll get into these watch faces in a little bit. I'll show you how to do this stuff. Now, let me know in the comments which tips were helpful for you. See, I already planted the seed that you will think some of these tips are helpful. Genius, right? Well, let's get right to it. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Watch has gesture features, which I love, and very few watches actually have this, and I don't know why, because these things are awesome. So there's three different gestures. The first one is knock knock. So if you just take your wrist and like this, and it's going to open up whatever you want. I have it set up to open up my exercise. Now you have two other gestures. One of them is the double pinch. You just go like that. And with the double pinch, you can answer calls, dismiss alerts, you can launch apps, control music, take photos even. You could also control anything in the now bar, which would be a little icon down here. If you are having a timer or a stopwatch or something else in the background, you can control it with the double pinch. I'll show you that in a minute. The other gesture is the rotating of the wrist. You just go like this. And for that one, you can decline incoming calls, which is really nice if you're getting a phone call and your hands are not free and you just want to silence it. You just do that and it will turn off. You could also dismiss alerts, alarms, timers, reminders, anything like that. So let me just show you how this stuff works. Okay, so I'm going to start a timer here. And now it's going, and if I just do the double pinch, you can see it stops. And then I can go ahead and start it again. And if you notice, right in here, it'll give you a little notification saying that you could do the double pinch to control this function. So any app that you're not sure about, if you see that, then you know it will work. So I just go like this. Now it's going to keep timing down. And I'll just show you how to dismiss it. Okay, now it's doing its thing. And I just do this. And then it gets dismissed. So that's all really nice, all hands-free stuff that you can do with the gestures. So let me show you how to customize all these things. We have to get into settings right here. And I'm just going to scroll down here till we get to buttons and gestures. Makes sense, right? I'll get into the buttons that you can customize in just a minute and the options that you have. But for right now, we're going to scroll down here. And these are our gestures. So first one I'm going to do is knock knock, because that's the one I started with. So as you see, I have it set to open up my bike exercise. So I could just do that and I don't have to touch anything. I can go just stop my workout, which is great. But let me just go ahead and click this. And obviously you can turn it on and off if you're triggering it by accident and you don't want to or something like that. But look at all these things you could do here. These are all the options that you have. And you think this is it, right? No, you could do any app that you want. So anything app that's in here, just go ahead and click it and you could use the knock knock gesture for it, which is awesome. And it just shows you how to do it right over there. So let's go back up here and do some other ones. Okay, let's do the double pinch. Again, you can turn it on and off if you want. And then these are the options. So I'll go through these in a second here. So now you have the open now bar. So when you have anything going on, a timer or a stopwatch or music or anything like that, you're going to get a little notification down here. That's the now bar. And then if you do the double pinch, then you're going to open that up and then you could see what it is, what music is playing or what stopwatch is going on or how much time is left, any of that kind of stuff. Then if there is nothing going on here, if there is no other background apps running, then it's just going to do the next notification right now. But you have options. And if you could see here, it'll tell you it's going to open up the now bar if you double pinch when you have something going on. And if not, you're going to do the secondary action. And then the secondary action you can turn on and off if you want to. But these are your options here, the next notification or the next tile. Now, if you have some music playing, again, you can have it play and pause. You can also have the next song. You just do your double pinch. It's going to play the next song, which is really convenient. And again, you got the alarm alerts, calendar alerts, reminder alerts. You could just complete it or dismiss it. So that's great. And then for the alarms, you could just dismiss it or you could snooze it, depending on what you want to do. So you have the shake gesture here and you can turn it off if you don't want to use it. But otherwise, you do this, and it's just basically on and off, and it shows you how to do it. And again, this is going to be to dismiss alarms or incoming calls or reminders or any of that kind of stuff. So that is by default. There is nothing you could customize on that. Okay, so now since we're right in this menu here, let me get into the buttons that you can customize. And there are some significant limitations. So we got the home button up here. We got the double press that you can customize and the long press. Now, the long press, you really can't do anything or not much. So if you click on it, these are our options, power menu or your assistant. That's about it. But the double press up here, you do have some customizations. And it could be any of this stuff. Let me get to the top. And again, you could do your apps or whatever you want. So a lot of options for the double press there. I don't know why you can't do that for the long press Samsung kind of limits the button functions. I'm not really sure why. But let's get down to the back button here. So the back button is even more limited. So typically it would just go back to your previous menu. And if you click on this, previous screen or show recent apps, that's all you got. So again, pretty limited. And if you press and hold this, you're going to open up the Samsung Wallet. That cannot be changed at all. Okay, so this is the workout grouping that I have here. There's a lot of things you could set and customize with your workouts. So let's go ahead and start a workout quick. So again, you could kind of pick what you want, and I'll show you how to rearrange these and organize them so you can have the exercises that you use most pop up where you want them to be. But before we start, we're just going to hit the little gear icon here, and we can set a target, which is nice. The duration, distance, whatever you want, or just no target. Then if we keep scrolling down here, you got the workout screen. This is where you can customize all the data that's shown, basically. So click on this, and it's labeled real nicely here. And again, we got data screen 1, 2. So let's go ahead and change these. You can see all the data that's shown there. We just click on it. So you can see I have 4 different options here, and I have the one with the most data. So you can see here, this is all the data. And maybe that's a little too small. You don't need all that information right there. So you could change it if you want. Let's do this. So now there's less, right? But now maybe I don't want my distance. So let's go ahead and change that. Click on this, and now I can change it to whatever I want. I mean, look at all these options, which is great. And then once, let me just change one. I'll do... let me see, it wasn't calories on there, I don't think. So now I got calories right on the top, and that's just automatically saved. Now I could do the same thing here. Again, I have another one with a bunch of icons on there. I could reduce it, so now I have less. I could do this, now I only have 3, and then I can change them if I want to whatever I want. And there it is, very quickly, very easy to do. And then the lap info, you can have that on and off if you want. Now, some more stuff that we can do here. I'm not going to go through everything here. I'm just going to go to the ones that I think are kind of important that you may not have known about. The audio guide. So if every time you get your laps, it's going to tell you your speed, your heart rate, all that kind of information. And you may not want to hear it every time, so you can just toggle that off if you don't want to hear it. And if you do, then just keep it on. The other nice thing is that you can keep the screen on during your workouts. I know a lot of people like to do this. Of course, if you work out like I do and, do a 4 or 5 hour workout every day, then that's going to take a significant drain on your battery. But, it is what it is. So if you just click on this, then your screen will stay on when you're working out. And I wasn't really going to go into it, but this is where the auto detect workouts are. So if you don't want some of these, you could just toggle them on and off. Sometimes, maybe you get an alert and you don't want to hear about it. So any of these you could toggle on and off if you want. So there's a lot there. Then you could also have it auto detect that it's doing something, but you don't want to get the alert. You don't want to hear about it. It's just going to auto detect and do what it's going to do. So I'm glad that you are still here. This is awesome. Thank you for the support. And if you want to help me more, well, then please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. And now I understand there's a new thing you could do. You could hype my video, which would really be appreciated. So in the comments section, you just swipe over to the left, and then you hit hype. And I think YouTube really likes that. And I don't know what they do, but it does something. So I'd really appreciate it if you want to do that. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get into the tiles here. So this is some customization that we can do. We got all these tiles, right? And you could set all these up. You can move these things all around. So let me show you how to do this on the watch really quick, but I'll show you on the phone because it's just easier. But if you have your little widget here and you swipe up, you could just add something right here. Now I think I have all my tiles on there, so I couldn't add anything, but then you'd be able to see what's available. And then if you don't like something, you could just push it. Now you could delete the whole tile if you want just by hitting minus. But you could also edit this one in particular. And there we go. So I got the minus there. I could, delete these if I want. I could move these if I want to just by pushing and holding it and moving it along. And you could even change the title of your little widget over here. So you can click on this. And again, you could type in whatever you want. I'm just going to check it since I like that. And then to get out of this, we could just hit back. And now we're back to this. And one more thing, if you want to, you can go over to the end here, and then you could add a whole nother widget layout here, a whole nother stacked widget if you'd like. So that's kind of cool. And then if you want, you could also just move these whole tiles or widgets, whatever you want. And you can do it on the watch. It's just a little easier on the phone. So let me just show you that. Okay, so there's actually 3 different apps that you have to use for your Samsung products. I don't know why they do this, but they do. We got Samsung Health over here, and I got the Gear app, which is basically where I'm going to be spending my time in because that's where you can customize and change the settings of the watch. Then you also have the Samsung Health Monitor, and this is for like ECG and things like that. But again, I'm not going to spend any time on that. I'm just going to mention it since I have them on the screen here, but I'm going to go into the Wearable app. Now I'm going to go through a lot of stuff throughout the video here, but for right now, I'm just going to cover tiles. So let's click on that. And again, you can see what we have here, and it's just easier to see on the phone, I think. But this is the tile. This is my first one. If I just swipe over here, you can see the same thing, right? So that's really awesome that it mirrors it. I just kind of love that. But anyway, so again, we could just move this like this to move it to a different location. Very easy to do that. I could minus them if I want. Let me just get rid of one. There we go. Now I should be able to add some because I couldn't before. And then it shows you kind of maybe what might go with this. And then if you notice also, these are kind of color matched a little bit. That's kind of like the calendar kind of stuff. And then if you scroll over, like here, this is like exercise stuff and fitness data. So that they kind of colorize it a little bit to make it so I guess a little easier for you. If I wanted to add one, all I need to do is hit it and pick something. Let's do daily. I could scroll through here. I'll show you all the things that are available. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can pick through here. I mean, a lot of stuff, right? So let's, I don't know, I'll just do battery. And then it says the 2 there, so I have 2 different options. I'll pick this battery. And then there it is. And then again, I could move this around, do whatever I want. If I want to change the title up here, there we go. I can just type whatever I want. So really customizable here. Very awesome that you could do this. And again, there's a lot of stuff that you could add here. So I like this better than the old version where you only had 1 tile for every swipe that you went over. Now I can swipe over, I can get 4 or 5 tiles on one thing and just scroll up and down very quickly, and I can get through a whole bunch of stuff very easy and is very detailed, and there's a lot of things I can put in here, a lot of ways to customize this, so that's really awesome. I think that's enough about tiles, right? Let's move on. Okay, if you're keeping score, now I'm up to kind of the notifications grouping of tips that I have. So let me just show you that. We're going to scroll down here to watch settings, and then I'm going to go not to notifications, but we're going to go into advanced features. So we're going to scroll down here and advanced features right here. Now, this one I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with, but it is actually kind of cool. Now, before I go any further, the menu on the phone and the watch are going to be exactly the same, but it's just easier to see on the phone here, so that's why I'm sticking here. But if you want to do it on the watch, you could just as easily do it there as well. But the disconnection alerts. So the reason, let me show you it first, and then I'll talk a little more about it. But these are our options. I could turn it off because it could be annoying, which is the thing I don't like about it. But we got sounds and vibration, so it's going to little chirp and it's going to vibrate as long as your phone is not silenced. And then we have the full screen, and you're going to get a sound and vibration. So the screen turns on, which gives you a little more notification maybe, I don't know. And then it will show you the phone's location on the map, which is, again, just a little extra. But the concern for this is that it's very aggressive. So it's awesome that if I leave my phone in a restaurant or a cab or wherever I am, then the watch will tell me, hey, your phone's gone. It's 30 feet away because I lost my Bluetooth connection, and run back there and go get it. So that's kind of nice. I do like that. So if you're just at the edge of where the Bluetooth range is, it's kind of annoying because, again, it immediately would tell you lost connection, you have connection back, you lost connection. So that could be a reason why you might want to turn it off. Okay, so the other couple of things I have to show you here is the now bar style. This is where you find this, and if you click on it, you got some pretty good customization. Now, you can have it where it's the old school or the old Samsung way of doing it, where it's just kind of a little icon and it'll show you the timer or the stopwatch and it'll show you that icon. But then you could also get some text and the icon, so it will tell you what's going on. You'll see how much time is left on your timer, little things like that. So you could do that for all these apps, which is kind of cool. So again, camera, you could have the icon with text or just the icon. And same option for all of these here. So that's where you could adjust that if you want that. And then again, if you did the double pinch, you could open up whatever is on the now bar. Okay, now the other cool feature here is the remote connection. And this is a little advanced, but I'll just click on it here. It does give us some information. So this is kind of cool. So if you're wearing your watch and you want to leave your phone, away, or you don't want to be right next to your phone, or you just happen to not be next to your phone, if your watch is connected to Wi-Fi, you can get calls and texts through your watch and not be connected to Bluetooth with your phone. So basically you're outside of Bluetooth range, but you'll still get your texts and phone calls on your watch, which is really awesome. Now you think this would be the slam dunk, right? Well, it's not perfect because you have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network. So if I leave my phone in my house and I go to my neighbor's house or something like that, they have a different Wi-Fi, it's not going to really do anything for me. But this is nice if you are outside of Bluetooth range, which is like 30 feet, but within Wi-Fi range, which could be 150 to 300 feet, then you could still use your watch and have your phone not near you. There's a lot of different situations this might come up, but if you are at work and again, your phone is charging in a desk or something like that, and maybe you have the same Wi-Fi at, throughout the whole building at work, and then you could use your watch in your office space and get your texts and phone calls and all that kind of stuff. but your phone could be in your desk charging. So that's really kind of a cool thing. When you first toggle this on, it will ask you for some permissions. You have to sign into your Samsung account, and you have to do a couple other setup things, but it's very easy to do. Let me know if that is useful for you. Okay, this one is for text, and you probably know these features, but I'm just going to go over them quick because you may not. Okay, so there's my message. Let me just go ahead and tap this. And now you can see here, there's my little message, and I could do suggested replies. So this is where the AI will give me a response. And if you have a whole chain of messages, it will actually follow the conversations and give you good responses. I got my emojis right here. And then I have my quick replies right down here, which is kind of cool that you could just do this very quickly. But the other thing is, if we do click on this, I'll get into a message. And now I could use the keyboard, obviously. But if I swipe up, I get all my other options. So I get the voice to text. I could do the handwriting, so I could just write the letters out if I want to do that. Then I also have the emojis, the letters, and the numbers if I want to do that. So this is what they look like. And I'll do the text thing just to show you this. So then I just kind of write something out here, and it will do the letter by letter, and it's trying to guess what I'm saying. And so if I was saying hello, and it could be quick sometimes if you like that option, and we'll go ahead and just send that. Now I just sent another text here, so I wanted to show you this. If I do click on this, and if you double tap it, you could actually make it bigger. So if you're having any kind of issue saying it, that's the smaller size, and then you double tap it and makes it a little bit bigger. So that's kind of cool, right? So speaking of that, let me show you how to change the font size. That's something that probably a lot of people are interested in doing, I think. So we got to get into settings. Let me get out of this. Let's get into settings. And then it's going to be display, so that's right up here. And then we just got to scroll down for a little bit. So you may not have noticed this if you weren't kind of looking for it, but you have to scroll down. It's down here. You see the font? I got font style. I can make it boldface if I want, and then I could change the font size. So font style, there's not too many. You know, there you go. If you want to change it. And again, you can make it bold if you want, but then the font size, this is medium, but you know, you can make it quite a bit bigger. And if you have really great eyes, you can make it kind of tiny, and then you get more stuff on the screen. So that's up to you. I'm going to keep it somewhere about there. Okay, let's talk about some watch faces now. Watch face I showed you in the beginning here, where you could add your own pictures and make all these funny designs, which is kind of cool. And there's a couple of different options for this. Let me just show you that. So we're in the Gear app. You have to do it on the Gear app. You can't do this on the phone. But we're going to go into Watch Faces. And I'm going to scroll down here. If I can find it. Photos. So these are our options. So I have photos where I could have one photo covering the whole screen. I could do this photo sticker thing. And then I got these Pebbles, which is, again, what I showed you, where you just have a number of photos and they just keep recycling through. So if you want to do any of these, we just click on this one. So I have my watch faces up here. I could just click edit. Now, this is just a stock photo that they have there, but if I want to change it, I just hit background, and now I could just do pictures. And let's go to my gallery. I got to blur this stuff out here, but these are a couple of photos I took today, and I could just add them. Just click on it, and that will be my new face. I could hit done, and that's what it is. Now I could also shape it if I want a little bit and move it around. Then I could do different things here with the colors and contrast, whatever I want. I could fix all that stuff up, and then once I'm done, there's my picture. It just took a second. Then, of course, you could change all the complications. You know, the clock type. I could move it around, do different things. I could do the colors. All this stuff. I could do the complications we can change. So that's kind of cool, and then you could just hit save. Now, I just want to go back to the background here, because you could add a bunch of photos if you want. And then every time you raise your wrist to look at the photo, it's going to change the picture if you want. Or if you tap the screen, it will change the picture. So let's go ahead, and if you did an album here, you could do that as well, or a story. On the album, it's going to give you 20 of the most recent photos, which is, again, kind of cool. But let me just add another photo here. I'm going to add 2 more photos, and done. And we'll just, you know, keep it as it is. And we're just going to save this when it loads. There we go. Okay, so now if I have my watch face here, and then I tap it, I can go through them kind of quick. So I would have pictures of my family or my pets or, you know, whatever you want to do. But that's kind of cool, and then every time you look at your watch, you could see those people. I'm not usually sentimental, but that's kind of nice, right? Okay, so now let me do a little more customization. This is customization of the quick toggles and your apps. And these are right over here. This is my app screen. This is my quick panel. The quick panel is right up here. When I swipe down, there it is. And I could do this on the watch. I'll show you that in a minute, but it is just a little easier to do on the phone. So let's do the quick panel. This is all the things I have on there, and this will exactly mirror what I have on the watch. Now, if I want to minus any, I just hit minus. We'll get rid of that, and it just pops down here. If I want to add it back in, there I go. And then if I want to move something, I just click it and hold, and then I could move it to the other watch face. There we go. So you can move it around and do any of that kind of stuff, which is great. And I could save it. Now, let me just show you that on the watch face here. If I swipe down, now I just got to swipe over here to get to the end. And then if I hit plus, now I could add these guys over there, and then I could delete any of these if I want. And then if I want to move one, I just hold it and move it to where I want. So actually not so hard to do on the watch face, but a little more effort than I'd like to put in. So there we go. Now there's a few things you can do on the app. So let me show you that. And this stuff you're probably going to look at every day. So first thing, you do have this thing. So basically your top 6 apps will be up here. If you don't like that for some reason, you just click this and then it disappears. But it's actually kind of good. So if there is just a few apps that you use, they'll be right in front, and you just swipe up on your watch real quick and they'll be populated. So that's kind of easy. Now, you do have different views. Now, some watches have 3, 4, 5, 6 different kinds of views. Samsung gives you 2. So we got the view. I got it in grid right now, which you can see here. There's the icon and then the words right next to it. But I could also do list, and then it has the icon and the words are bigger. So, it depends on what you like to do there. I'm going to put it back in the grid view. Real easy to save. Now, you could move all these very easily. All you need to do is push it and move it to a different location. There we go. Right? Very easy to do that stuff. Now, the other cool thing, which probably not everyone knows about, you could leave it in the comments if you knew about this or not, but you could make folders on your app list. So if, these things are kind of related, the stopwatch, the timer, and the alarm, if I want, I could just put this on top of there, and now I got a folder. And this could be, I don't know, timers or something. How's that? Then I could change the color, maybe match the icon there that's in there. There we go. And now that's there. Now, if I want to add more stuff, the stopwatch kind of goes there, right? So I just got to push and hold it until it starts moving and slide it right on top, and there you go. And now when I just tap it, I get my timers and I get whatever I want in there. So any kind of apps that are grouped together, maybe music apps or stuff like that, you can put it all into one folder, and then you don't have this long list of all of your apps, which is kind of nice. And then if you want to break this up, you just push and hold. You could delete the whole thing if you want. But if I don't want to delete it and I just want to get something out of there, I'll just take the alarm, I push it, and just move it out, and now it's down there. And now I can move back to wherever I want it, obviously. And you could also do this on the watch. So if I swipe up here, and let's see, I should have my folder right there. And if I want to add something to it, I'm just going to add one that's really close by. I just push and hold it, and just slide it over there, and there you go. So really easy to do that, and I think that's a really cool feature of the Samsung watches. Okay, let me show you how to rearrange the exercises, because that is not really so straightforward. So let me show you how to do that. Now, as I said, it's not so straightforward. You actually have to go through a different app, which is kind of weird. It should be in the Gear app, but it's not. And you really can't do this on the watch, so you have to do this in the app. So we got to go into Samsung Health, and we got to just scroll down here to get to our exercise list, and then I'm going to hit more. And I'm in the home page here, and I'm just hitting more. Okay, now these are my 3 favorites. So now these are the 3 options that are going to show up on the top of my exercise list, but they're also going to show up on my widget. So if I go here, let me see here, if I get to my widget, there we go. So I got the 3 there, and that's these 3. Now if maybe I hurt my leg, I'm not running anymore, right? So let's get rid of that, and I'm taking up archery. So that's there, and look, it immediately changes, which is really cool. So I got archery there. So that's just the 3 ones, so now you can just tap it quick. Not such a big deal to hit more and find the other exercises, but that's kind of cool that if you're only doing the same 3 exercises, why not have them right up on front? This is my exercise list now, right? But there's obviously a lot more exercises that are available on the Galaxy Watch 8. So we hit plus, and now I'm going to select a workout from my exercise list. So let's click on this, and then I got all these things here, right? That's all of them. They also are categorized. Let's do, water. So these are my water ones. Let's add pool swim to that, right? So now I'm done. Now pool swim's there. So that's kind of cool, nice and easy. Now if you want to move these, you can just push and hold it. Then you kind of enter edit mode, and now you can kind of just scroll it to wherever you want. So that's the way I kind of do it, but the way you're probably supposed to do it, or Samsung wants you to do it, you hit the little 3 buttons up here, and then we edit exercises. There we go. And now I have the same thing where I could move it around and do whatever I want. I could also just select them and hide them, so now they're deleted from your list. That's what hide means. So let me get rid of alpine skiing. I probably won't be doing that in the next couple of weeks, right? So I just hit hide, and now it's gone. But if I want to add it back, I could just hit here, go into my list, and I could actually just search it. Alpine skiing, right? I changed my mind. I am actually going to Colorado. So now it's back, right? So really easy to do that stuff. But wait, there's more. So if I go into plus here, I can create a new exercise. I created gardening just as an example. But if you're doing household chores or you're doing some weird exercise, you just want your heart rate and your calories to be recorded. Maybe see how many hours a week you're doing it, or you want to keep track of it. So someone from the audience, give me an exercise. Okay. Oh, I heard power washing. Okay. So there we go. And now I could save it. I could do this stuff. This is the stuff I'm going to save. I could have the GPS on or off, which is nice. If you're indoors, you don't need to use the GPS, or if you don't want to use the GPS, you don't have to. And then I could also make a category of it, whatever. I don't think there's wilderness. I don't know. We can click on that. And now we hit save. And now power washing. And again, now I could just do that. And now basically it's just so I could record it. That's all. Now, the other thing you can do is you can create a workout routine. And I'm just going to go through this quick here, but you just click on it. You can call it whatever you want. I don't know, test 1. That's my favorite kind of routine. So I could have a warm-up if I want, and then I could have a cool down. I could toggle those on and off, but then I could add exercises. So I'm going to do my aqua aerobics, then my skiing, and then my archery. So I have 3 selected, right? I hit done, and now I got these things. Now I could have my target right here. So let's do a target. Let's do duration. So it's going to be 30 minutes, right? So after 30 minutes of doing this, the watch will beep, and I'll take my break. I could do a manual break, or I could set the actual time, which is kind of cool, right? And then it will beep again and say, hey, get going. Then I do my skiing, and again, I could have my target in here, calorie, duration, or distance, whatever I want. And then the watch will alert me when I reach that target, and then I move on to my next exercise. So that's kind of cool. And then again, you could change this. You could repeat this if you want. So there's a lot of customization you can do on this. In the comments, let me know if this would be useful for you. And I do use all your comments to kind of refine my future videos. So if you give me some features that you definitely wanted to hear about, or you give me some feature in here that was just stupid, maybe I'll get rid of it next time, and maybe I'll add your other feature in there. So if you give me some input, I'd really appreciate it. But let's just cancel that for now. I'm going to discard it. I'm going to get out of that. Okay, so I can't believe it, but we're actually almost coming to the end of the video. I only have a few more things. I know, it is sad, but, we got to move on. And I do have a lot of other videos, so don't worry. Check out my channel, and you will see a lot more stuff. So let's get out of this. So this is the important safety stuff that I was telling you about. So I think everyone should set this up. Let's do it. So we're going to go into the wearable app, and we got to scroll down here to watch settings. And, of course, this is going to be in safety and emergency. So let's click on this right here. And there's a bunch of stuff that we should do in here. This is actually a good thing to do for your phone and for your watch, because this will show up on your phone's lock screen if you want as well. But you type in your medical info, all this stuff you can put in here. So if you do have any kind of accident, you can put in some important details that maybe some first responders would need to know about. So save that and put it in there. Yes, I know I didn't put it in, but just do as I say, not as I do, right? Now, emergency contacts. This is another important one, because this will help when you do the emergency SOS. So the emergency contact, you can see what's on here. You could read about that if you'd like, but you got to add your emergency contact. You just hit this, and this will open up your contacts, and then you pick which one you trust the most with your life. And then, of course, this you probably want to turn this on, but if you are contacting someone that you do trust and it is an emergency, you probably want them to have all your information. Now, we got to keep going here, because we got the emergency SOS. Let me show you what this looks like. There's a couple of features on here. Now, the SOS is activated when you hit this button 5 times, and this button is very recessed. I mean, it would be very hard to hit it 5 times by accident. But if you are concerned about it, you can go ahead and add a swipe. So after you did it 5 times, then you would actually have to swipe it for it to acknowledge an SOS is happening. Now, you can have your emergency call number here, and then you have your SOS go to your emergency contacts. And the emergency call you can change if you're in a different country, and then you could also have a custom number that you can put in there if you'd like. And then, of course, this is going to send the SOS to emergency contact, but it's also going to turn on your location information. So again, that's probably a good idea to have that on. I know, it's not on for me, but, you know. And then hard fall detection. When Samsung first introduced the fall detection, I got several false positives. So, it said I fell, but I really didn't. However, that's when it was first introduced years ago. So now it actually is very good. I haven't had any false positives. I haven't had any true positives yet because I haven't fallen, but I just am going to assume that it is working. But if you toggle it on, and then we can click on it to get more details. You could actually have it off and click on it and get more details as well. And then you could turn it on right here again. And it gives you some information here. This one you might want to do, so you could toggle this on, and if it detects that you fell, then you have to swipe it to kind of acknowledge that you really did fall. And then you could also have the countdown here. You could have a different countdown time, so it gives you a couple of seconds to react and toggle it off if it really wasn't an emergency. It's probably not that big of a deal, especially if you're just calling your emergency contacts. If they get a text from you, it's not the end of the world. But if you want to make sure that it's only going to send an emergency message when you really did fall, again, you can fool around with these customizations there. And again, you got the emergency number here to call, and then when to fall. I don't know exactly why they have this option here, but always or only during workouts. I don't know. If I'm working out, I think I'm probably in good shape, and I'm probably not ready to fall while I'm working out. I don't know. Maybe people are passing out when they're working out. I don't know what the theory is for that, but I usually have this on always. So let me do that. And then, of course, you got the same option down here to send the SOS to your contacts. So again, this is a separate one for the fall detection versus the SOS call that you want to put out. So you could have two different setups if you want. So again, I think that's kind of important. Go ahead and set it up now while you're watching the video so you don't forget, because obviously you're never going to know when you're going to need an SOS, or you're never going to know when you actually are going to have a hard fall. So it would be nice to have that set up in advance, right? So I do have two more, I guess you can call them bonus tips if you made it this far, right? I don't know if they're really all that much of a bonus, but here they are. So I got two tips here. So if you want to take a screenshot, basically if you have some text on here, or you have, maybe you did a workout and you made a new record or something like that, all you need to do is hit these two buttons together at the same time. You see the flash there, and then this will be in your gallery. So let me show you that. So I got to blur out all the photos down here on the bottom. Nothing personal there, but, it's just nothing you need to see. But here's the watch face I just took a screenshot of. And now I could, share it with my friends. I could save it, whatever I want to do. So that's kind of cool. So if your watch is running a little slow, or you're having any kind of issues, you can clear the memory. It used to be a little easier to do this, and there's a couple of different ways to do it, but, this is one easy one. So I'm just going to go into Settings. And then I got to scroll all the way down to Device Care. Right here, and then I'm going to scroll down here. You can see obviously this information, but then I'm going to go into memory, and I just click on this. So if I keep scrolling here, and now I can clear this out, and it's just clearing out all the apps that I had running there, which again sometimes might help. And there you go. So those were the tips and the features that I thought were probably the most helpful. Let me know in the comments if you liked any of them, or found any of them useful, or didn't know about some of them. That would be great to hear. Check out my channel for other videos. I'm going to have another video like this for the Watch 8 Classic and the Ultra. There's a couple extra features that are available on those watches that are not available on the Watch 8. And I do a lot of other tech reviews, so again, check out my channel, subscribe, like. I really would appreciate it. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much.